All right, let's talk about ChatGPT. You've run the name, you've probably even seen what it can do. In just a couple of years, this AI has kicked off a huge technological revolution, totally changing how we work, create, and maybe even how we think. It's really taken the world by storm, so let's get into what actually makes it tick.
And if you want to understand just how massive its impact has been, just look at this number, 100 million. That's how many people started using ChatGPT in only 2 months. That made it the fastest growing app in history. Seriously, that's not just hype. That is a full-blown phenomena.
So, what is this thing, really? Well, at its core, ChatGPT is a super advanced AI chatbot. The name itself, GPT, kind of tells you the whole story. Generative means it can create brand new stuff from scratch. Pre-trained means it's already studied, a mind-boggling amount of text from the internet. And transformer, that's the revolutionary architecture that makes it all work.
So here's our game plan for this explainer. We've touched on the phenomenon. Next, we're going to pull back the curtain and see how the magic actually works. Then we'll get into its real-world superpowers, weigh the good against the bad, the promise and the peril, and finally, we'll look ahead and ask, what's next?
Okay, first up, how the magic works. Let's get past all the hype and really try to understand what's going on under the hood. And that brings us to the biggest question of all, the one everybody asks. Is it actually thinking? Does it understand what it's saying the way you and I do? It's a fascinating question, and it really gets to the heart of what this tech is and what it isn't. And the short answer is, nope. It doesn't think or understand in a human sense. A much better way to think about it is as an incredibly sophisticated prediction machine. It's a pattern matcher. It has analyzed billions of sentences, so it's gotten ridiculously good at one thing, predicting the most likely word to come next in any given sentence.
The author Ted Chiang had this perfect analogy for it. He said to think of ChatGPT as a blurry JPEG of the web. I love that. It compresses all of our knowledge, so it's got the gist of it, the patterns, the style, but it's not a perfect, crystal clear copy. It's an approximation, and that one idea explains both its incredible power and its biggest flaws.
So let's just quickly trace how that works. You type something in, the system immediately chops your words up into little numerical pieces called tokens. Then, using a really clever process called self-attention, it figures out which of your words are most important for understanding the context. And from there, it's just a probability game. It predicts the most likely next token, adds it, and then does the whole process over again. It literally builds its response one single piece at a time.
So, now that we have a sense of how it works, let's get to the really exciting part. What can you actually do with this new superpower?
For professionals and creatives, oh man, the list is huge. Think of it as your instant co-writer for emails and articles, a tireless assistant who can summarize those long reports you don't want to read, or even a creative partner to help you brainstorm a business idea or heck, write a poem.
And if you're a developer, it is an absolute game changer. Coders are using it to automate all the boring stuff, like writing basic functions or generating documentation. But it's also becoming this powerful partner for the really tough tasks, like hunting down tricky bugs or restructuring code to make it cleaner.
And it's not just for work. In education, it's like having a personal tutor on call 24/7. It can patiently explain a complex topic in a way you actually get, act as a conversation partner if you're learning a new language, or even walk you through a tough math problem step by step. But with all this incredible power, you knew there had to be a catch, right? This much disruption always comes with risk. And that brings us to the promise and the peril of this technology. It's a coin with two very, very different sides, and we really need to look at both.
And this table just lays out that tension perfectly. On one side, you've got this incredible promise of efficiency, creativity, and automation, but on the other side, you have the peril of it just being flat out wrong, the biases it picked up from the internet, the huge potential for spreading misinformation, and of course, the real risks of job disruption and cheating.
Now, one of the biggest dangers is something called a hallucination. This is when the AI just confidently makes stuff up. Remember that blurry JPEG analogy? Hallucinations are basically the glitches, the artifacts from that compression. It sounds totally plausible, but it's wrong. It's not trying to lie to you, it's just filling in the gaps, sometimes with nonsense.
And this really gets to the human side of the debate. When the musician Nick Cave was shown a song that ChatGPT wrote in his style, this was his response. He said it was a grotesque mockery. For him, it might have copied the style, but it completely missed the messy, painful human experience that real art comes from.
His reaction just perfectly captures that deep fear that AI might cheapen real creativity.
So where does all this go from here? For our final section, let's look at what's coming next, because trust me, the evolution of this technology is moving at an incredible pace.
I mean, just look at this timeline. You go from the public launch that started it all to models that can see, hear, speak, and even seem to think before they answer, all in an incredibly short amount of time. The leap in what these things can do from one version to the next is just breathtaking.
And it looks like the next big frontier is something called AI agents. Now, these are systems that go way beyond just answering a question. You give them a goal, like, hey, plan my trip to Tokyo, and they'll autonomously go and do all the steps. Find the flights, book the hotel, build an itinerary, all by working across different apps. We're talking a shift from a simple tool to a true digital assistant.
So, we'll end on this question for you to think about. As this incredibly powerful AI becomes a collaborator in everything we do, our work, our creativity, our daily lives, what is the one truly human skill that we should decide to never, ever delegate to a machine? Is it judgment? Empathy? You tell me? That's the big question we're all going to have to answer.